Okay. So we have seen in the last session how to create the value sets and the structure name. Within the structure, we created segments. So we created segments, company, department, account, intercompany, and project. And these are the two segments we have to add into our chart of account structure. And we'll proceed with the rest of tasks to complete the chart of accounts definition. So go back to our chart of account structure. Chart of account structures. Click on the same task. Click on search. Click on manage structures. Find our chart of account structure, whatever we created in the last session. We created as a ADP accounting flex field. Search. This is the one we created. And click on edit. So we created these 5 segments. We are going to add 2 more as a future 1 and future 2. Click on plus icon. The segment name is future 1. The same segment code, copy and take as a name. And the segment sequence number is 6. Prompt, how we want to display the segment name to business users. Short prompt, display with say 20 characters, field system has to open. Column name, let's go on a 6th segment, select same, and we are going to assign future 1 value set to future 1 segment. ADP future 1. Select and say okay. No labels, say save and close. Again, click on plus icon. Create future 2 segment. Sequence number is 7th. Prompt is future 2. Short prompt is F2. Display with 20. Column name segment 7. Value set. ADP future 2. Save and close. Click on save and close. Again, click on done. Now, so we completed value set, definition, chart of account structure. Within the structure, we created segments, and for each segment, we assign relevant value set, and for required segments, we assign segment labels. Now, we are going to create chart of account structure instance. So instance is nothing but copy of chart of account structure. So whatever the chart of account structure we created, we cannot use it in our application as it is. So we have to make a copy of chart of account structure that we call as instance. The instance is the one which we can use when we record the transactions. Okay, that's how they designed this solution. So why so? Why we cannot use the structure? Why we have to use instance? That point we will understand when we just talk about the task called as one component definition, where we group this calendar, currency, chart of accounts. There you will come across. For now, you just take the point. We cannot use the structure directly. That is the reason we are going to create instance, and instance only we can use. In any application, you want to use the chart of account structure directly, not possible. We have to make a copy that we call a chart of account structure instance. By using the chart of account structure instance, we create the transactions. It means our chart of account structure is going to act as a template. By using one chart of account structure, you can create multiple instances, multiple copies you can create. Okay, really, we don't need to create multiple, but that there is a flexibility to create. Let's see how to create the instance. Okay, let's see how to create the instance.
No, you mentioned one thing, just a little clarification. Copy of chart of account structure, we are going to create a copy of the original one. And when you copy the original one, you make a copy of the original one, in database, the set of tables corresponding to all of them will be created, right? And
One second.
when we...
One second. Here, you might be referring some applications, other applications. Based on the actions, what you do, no tables will be created in Oracle Fusion or any Oracle application.
Anything we create in the front end will be stored in the data.
You mentioned table, that is the reason I'm talking. If you talk about data, I don't talk about this. Okay. So no tables will be created based on the actions. So whatever you are doing, data will get stored in the relevant tables. Okay.
Yes, correct. Data will be stored relevant instance. When I'm making a copy of it, of course, tables are provided by Oracle out of the box, but a record will be entered, right, with the copy name.
Yeah, always there will be separate table for that.
Agreed. When you enter a record, a duplicate record with a different name, then when we are entering the data, will it go into the copy set or it go into the original set?
Copy. Yeah, what you are using, it will go to that. Okay. Fine. What you are using, the data will go and sit in accordingly.
Okay.
As per instance, not as per structure.
So then original chart of account structure just remains there.
Correct.
Always.
Because you cannot use it. That is the reason you are copying, and with everything what you do, those are going to be aligned with the copied one, which we call as instance.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Fine. Now, so we are going to create the chart of account structure instance. By clicking on manage structures, we created chart of account structure. Now we have another tab called manage structure instances. Now click on manage structure instances. From this page, we can create the instance. Already we discussed, instance is nothing but the copy of chart of account structure. Click on plus icon, provide structure instance code, say ADP accounting flex fee. This is the name we given for structure. Same generally we use for instance also. For our testing purpose, I'm just taking the name as ADP accounting flex so that we can understand which definition we are going to use in the further setups. Just to identify, are we going to use a structure or instance to check and giving slightly different name? Reality, with what name we create the structure, same name as it is we use for instance also. And the same name system will take as the API name. Already we discussed what is the purpose of API name during the segments creation. The same purpose. So system will use for kind of integrations, custom reports, and other technical aspects. This field can be used by technical consultant. Take structure instance code and use as a name. Now, we want to create the chart of account structure instance, but based on which structure? You have to select the structure name here. Select structure. Which structure we want to use? ADP accounting flex field. Select. When you select this structure, within the structure, what are the segments we have? All you could see here. Now, all the segments we have to select as a required. Here is one column, okay, as a required. So from this chart of accounts, what segments we require, that we have to select as required. Ideally, we have to select all, because what we need to create the transactions, accordingly we created chart of account structure. Since we are not able to use the chart of account structure directly, we are creating instance. So we have to mark these all are required into our chart of account structure instance. So to select as required, you have to select one by one segment, okay, and you can set as required. How to do that? Select company, click on edit, say required, and say okay. You can see marked as required. Select department, click on edit, mark as required, and say okay. Select account, click on edit, mark as required, say okay. Select intercompany, click on edit, mark as required, and say okay. The same you have to replicate for all the segments. You have to set all the segments as required, since all the segments we have in our chart of accounts. So this is how you can create chart of account structure instance. We are providing the instance name, and we are selecting, we want to create instance against which is structured. Within the structure, all the segments what we have to create we have to set as a required. Now the other point, why we have to create, what is the technical reason Oracle is made this as a mandatory? The reason is, we discussed, Oracle acquired many products. Oracle acquired many products. If you are going to use this chart of accounts within the financials applications or within the Oracle related applications, chart of account structure is not, instance is not required. If you take EBS before fusion, the version is EBS. Within the EBS, we don't have any concept called a chart of account structure instance. We have only chart of account structure. Why it is required in the fusion? So when we are dealing with the different applications, say we have Hyperion applications. Okay, Hyperion applications. In Hyperion applications, if you want to use this chart of account structure, okay, if you want to use this chart of account structure within the Hyperion applications, it may be planning, budgeting, or reporting. We cannot use the structure as this. There, the replica is required. The replica is required, so it is not safe to allow this application, our chart of accounts, directly in those other environments. That is the reason Oracle made a logic. We can create the copy. The copy can be accessed anywhere. That copy would be supported by our chart of account structure, so that there won't be any harm to our chart of accounts. Just replica we are creating and we are using everywhere wherever it is required. So that's how they came up with the logic. So very simple point is, chart of account structure instance pretty much required as per Hyperion application. Since we are using Hyperion applications within the fusion applications, Oracle made this structure instance definition as a mandatory. That's how it is. So these are the points we have to understand. Now just click on save and close. Click on done. So we created chart of account structure instance. Now the next task is deployment. We have to deploy accounting key flex field. Within the accounting key flex field, or call it as accounting flex field, we have our chart of accounts. Within the accounting flex field, we have our chart of accounts. Okay, we have our chart of accounts. Now, within this only we have. If you click on deploy flex field, what system will do is, within this accounting flex field, how many chart of accounts we have, all it will initiate validation process. For all the chart of accounts, it will initiate the validation process. We cannot submit our chart of accounts for validation. Okay, we cannot submit our chart of accounts for validation. The entire accounting flex field need to be submitted for validation so that all will get validated. When you submit for validation, what system is going to check? Already we discussed. Okay, already we discussed whether these two segments are being used. These two labels in every chart of accounts, these two segment labels are being used or not. That is one point it will check. If these two labels are not used in any one of the chart of account, it will throw error message. And second point is any label is assigned to more than one segment, it will check. Okay, so with these reasons, it will stop. Now we'll just go and do the mistake, okay, to understand how it, how it is going to respond by just showing error message. Okay, so what I will do is, for company, we have to assign primary balancing segment label. I'm removing. Let's see what system is going to do, whether it will detect this issue or not. Now click on deploy flex field. Okay, it is going to fetch all the chart of accounts related information and it will show the errors. Now it detected one error. Okay, error in deployment. So here you could see flex field metadata validation, one error, 0 warnings. You expand it. It may be your chart of accounts or others chart of account, doesn't matter for system. You are submitting accounting flex field deployment. Within that, any chart of account has any issue, it will report. Now, so you have some error message, the text which is readable, read it. You can see here. So you must assign a required label. Label name is GL balancing. So GL balancing. GL balancing means this term is matching with which label. In which label you have a term called as balancing? Primary balancing segment label. That's how you should be able to map. When system says GL balancing, you have to understand it is nothing but it is talking about primary balancing segment label. Okay, it is saying you must assign a required label called as primary balancing segment label to at least one segment. Okay, good. Yes, you must assign. You should assign one, balancing segment label to one segment in the chart of account. That's fine. In which segment, which chart of account it is identified that issue, that also you can see. Here it is giving clear information. The structure name is ADP accounting flex field. Within this, you need to assign required segment label called as GL balancing. That is a message for us. By seeing this message, what you have to do? You have to go and correct. The ADP accounting flex field may be your chart of account or other chart of account, doesn't matter. The same error message you can see from here also. The deployment status is error and deployment error message you can see from here also. Click and you can see same message. Okay, so here you can see you must assign the required label called as GL balancing to at least one segment. So structure name is this. Yeah. The same it is just replicating multiple times. That's it. Yeah. Okay, this all like complete message talks about the same. Now go back to your chart of account structure. Click on edit. Select company, click on edit. Assign primary balancing segment label and say save and close. So this is how, if natural account segment label is missing in any one of the chart of account, same message it will throw and it will give the reason and the structure name. And if you assign one label to more than one segment, the same message you will get, and it talks about you should not assign. In that case, you have to cross check for which segment two labels are else which label is assigned to more than one segment within the same chart of accounts. You have to check one by one segment level. So that's how you can correct it. Okay, save and close. Submit deployment. If any issues with other chart of accounts, it will report. If no errors with any chart of accounts, like assigning same label to multiple segments or assigning primary balancing segment label and natural account segment label, then it will take some time and it will complete the deployment process. Okay. It will take few minutes and it will complete. If it is a client instance, it won't take much time. The instances which you are using, these are all for practice purpose. So within these instances, you may have a n number of chart of accounts. You may have a 50 or 100 or 200 or 500 also, because everybody will create their own chart of accounts. System also will take some time to complete those validation. So when you are practicing, it may take some time for this deployment. Reality, when we are working, hardly you will be having one chart of account, maybe one country implementation or multiple country implementation. Mostly we create only one chart of accounts. The moment you submit for deployment, it will be completed without taking too much of time. Okay, the fraction of seconds it will complete. But when you are practicing, so it takes some time. Yeah. So let's wait. Okay, here what we'll do is we'll just take 2 minutes break. Within the 2 minutes, the deployment process will complete and we can proceed. Yeah, now we can see the deployment completed and you can say okay and click on search. Okay, fine, no issues. It's a deployment confirmation we got. Ideally here also it will update the tick mark since deployment completed. We got a confirmation message, that is enough for us. It may update after some time, no worries. So that's how we have to complete the deployment. Now create segment values. So we created value sets for the same within the value sets. We have to create the value set values you can call or call as segment values. Both are same. Within the value set, we create the values. Those you can call as value set values or segment values. So we'll go and see how to create the segment values. Just click on done. Now go to chart of accounts value sets. The task name is manage chart of accounts value sets, or you can use manage chart of accounts value set values. Any one of the tasks you can use. Both will navigate us to same page. Okay, both will navigate us to same page. Click on manage chart of accounts value sets. Now click on the same task. Fine. Now find out the value set. Okay, now find out the value set. The value set name is, we give a name as, we'll go one by one, ADP company. So ADP company. If you want to check how this value set was created, you can click on edit. The definition you can say, we given the code as ADP company, description, application as general ledger, validation type is independent, value type is character, subtype is text. See, once you save this value set, you cannot change this validation type, data type or sub data type. Okay, The maximum length, if you want to increase, you can increase, and you should not decrease it. And you may change this description. So few fields are editable, few are not editable. Okay, this is how this value set was created. So we could see maximum length we taken as a 4. Okay, so now when you create the company codes, you can view the codes within the scope of 4 digits. To create the values within this value set, click on manage values. Click on manage values. If you click on search, any values are available within this value set, you can see, but we never created values within this value set. Let's create now. Click on plus icon to create the values within this value set. Okay, we given maximum length as a 4, that is applicable for this field, value field. So I'm giving company code as 1000. So description, okay, what is 1000? Which company you are referring as 1000, that you can take. Here we take an example, the same can pick ADP Software Services. So ADP Software Services. And the company what we are creating, by default, system is defaulting as enable. And start date and end date. This company, if you are going to use for limited period, you can give what is that period. Okay, after that period, it won't be available. Generally, we don't set start date and end date for the segment values. If you want to use, you keep as enable. If you don't want to use, you can disable, so that it won't be visible for the business users when they record the transactions. And these 3 we call as value attributes. We discussed about value attributes. Okay, allow budgeting, allow posting. So along with that summary, when you say summary as yes, you are telling to the system, this is kind of company where we don't record the transactions. This is required only for reporting. So if you have any company where you don't record the transactions, it may be for the purpose of reporting, then you can set summary as a yes. But this is a company which we are going to use to record the transactions. How to set parent company, child companies, we will understand going forward with the concept called as rapid implementation. Okay, within the rapid implementation, we'll see how to establish the hierarchy. Okay, as per our reporting requirements, how to establish the hierarchy for our companies, department accounts, etc. Here, we are just trying to understand how to create the values. Let's focus on that point. Hierarchy establishment and all, we will see very soon. So,
One question.
Yeah.
You mentioned summary. If we put summary as yes, can we post journals to that?
You cannot create first. Okay. If you set summary as a yes, you cannot create transaction. You cannot post it. When you are able to create, you can post. Yeah. No transaction is allowed with that. It won't be displayed to create the transaction, that company. That's it.
Okay. So it's only the aggregates, the children, whatever we have, nothing can be posted directly to it.
Correct. Yeah. Kind of placeholder. Fine. And allow posting, allow budgeting. With this company, if you are going to record the transactions, okay, you should post. So allow posting, you have to set to yes. With this company, if you are going to create the budget, allow budgeting should be yes. Okay, allow posting, allow budgeting. We are not selecting. System is defaulting, accept as this. Okay, accept by default for every value we create in the chart of accounts. So system will default allow posting, allow budgeting as yes. You can accept as this. If you are setting summary as yes for this, then you are not going to create the transaction. In that case, this is also not required. You can set to no, even you can leave as it is. Anyway, you are not going to create the transaction. Even it is set to yes, no use. That's how it works. Yeah. So let's create
one question.
Values. Yeah. Few more values will create as per this. Yeah, you make a note. If you have many questions, make a note. We'll discuss in the end of the session. Few questions, okay. ADP software development, 2000. ADP software development. We are not going to change any value attributes. Okay, accept as it is. Click on plus icon. Next value is going to be ADP consulting services. ADP consulting services. Fine. So this is how you can create n number of companies within the company value set. Okay, say save and close. By default, system is enabling so that those would be available when you record the transactions. Now say save and close. So we created values for company value set. Now we'll create the values for department value set. ADP department. Value set is department. Click on manage values. If you click on edit, you can see what is the maximum length. We've taken as a 4. So within the scope of 4 digits only, you can create the departments. Click on plus. I'll try to create value with 5 digits. I'll say department is finance department. Allow budgeting, allow posting, summary, everything system is taking as it is. Accept it. I'll try to create one more value. Now I'm getting error message saying that the value 10000 is too long. As per the value set ADP department, the length of value cannot exceed 4 characters. That is a rule we defined at the time of value set. So that's how it would be useful. We set to 4. It should be within the scope, every value. Within the 4 digits only you can create. It can be 1 or 10 or 100, doesn't matter, but it should not be more than 4 digits. That's how it works for any value set. Say 2000 HR department, 3000 sales, 4000 marketing. So list out all the departments, whatever you get from the client. We are trying to understand how to create through manual process. And going forward, we will understand how to load all this information into the application by using the spreadsheet. Okay, we are going to see how to load also. Reality, most of the cases we load, but you should know how to create also. Very, very important. Yeah. We are going to try out how to load also. Now, just it's all about manual process. We should aware how to create through manual process. Now say save and close. So next segment is account as per our chart of account. We'll go and create the values within the account value set. Click on manage values. Click on plus icon. So I want to create, when we talk about accounts, we group the accounts. We group the account based on the nature. Okay. Expense accounts, revenue account, asset liability account, we do the grouping and we use the separate numbering. But now we are not going to focus on that. When we deal with the rapid implementation process, there we will discuss. Here, try to understand how to create the values. I want to create one value, okay, with the 5 digits, that is cash account, say HSBC account. This is the account number. Now, if you look at value which you are creating within the account value set, you will see additional value attributes. For company department, we have seen summary, allow budgeting, allow posting. But account, we are able to see additional 4 more. Account type, third party control account, reconcile, financial category. 4 additional we are getting. Why we are getting? For account segment, we assign natural account segment label. This natural account segment label is adding these 4 additional value attributes. Okay, why we are assigning natural account segment label to account segment? Within the account segment, if you are going to create accounts, we have to specify the nature of account, which type of account we have to specify. So if you assign natural account segment label to account segment, then we'll be able to set the nature, asset, liability, expense, etc. Along with that, it will add few more value attributes that, like when you do the reconciliation, etc., we will use it. We will see when we deal with those concepts. This is a point you have to understand. Okay. Why we have to assign natural account segment label to account? If you assign natural account segment label to account, whenever you create account related values, segment values, it will provide 4 additional value attributes. If system is not going to provide account type, I'm creating an account called as cash account. If system is not giving account type, I cannot select which type of account is this, expense or asset or liability, revenue. I cannot select. If I'm not able to select, so going forward, when you prepare the reports, certain automations won't work. Okay, based on the nature of account, system will do some sort of calculations. Those all won't work. That is the reason when you create account type is mandatory. For that reason, you should assign natural account segment label to account. If you assign natural account segment label to company, when you go to company, you can see these 4 additional value attributes. We don't need account type for a company. If it is account type is required. If it's a company, we don't need account type. That is the reason we don't assign natural account segment label to any segment other than account. Always we assign natural account segment label to account. Only reason account related values only we need account type. So that is the purpose why we have to assign natural account segment label to account segment. Yep. Now set what type of account is this? When you say cash, it is treated as an asset. We no need to worry about it if you don't know which account falls under which type. When we get the data from the client, they will give you the complete information with the nature of account, which type of account they are using, so-and-so account with which nature. Accordingly, we have to load into the system. When we deal with the rapid implementation concept, you will have a lot of sample data also, which you can look into and understand which account is treated as which type. That's how it is. And let's create one more account. I'm going to create one more account, say admin expense, account type, since is expense, select as expense. And every company objective is earning the profits. Okay, earning the profits. The profit related account we have to maintain, that account we call as net income account. The same account as for our application or in the real world also we call as returned earnings account. That means you will get some revenue because of your sales or services, whatever the business you are doing. From that, you will reduce the expenses. Revenue minus expense, it is treated as a return net income. Okay, so net income, revenue minus expense, net income. The net income only we call as returned earnings. Of course, once you get the net income, you may just distribute the profits to the shareholders, etc. Finally, whatever you are holding, okay, the remaining earnings that you will maintain in the system with the returned earnings account. Okay, returned earnings account. So that is the objective of every company. Making profits is objects. What are the profits you are making that you are going to maintain by using the returned earnings account? So that account you have to create in the account value set as a mandatory account. Add that account also. So where exactly it is required, we will discuss. First, keep that account ready. Say retained earnings. Okay. So retained earnings account nature is owner's equity. Sorry, any question?
I have questions, we can ask it later.
Yeah, no. See, what I am mentioning is, yes, you can ask if you have one or two. If you have a bunch of questions, okay, because it's for everyone, right? I respect. So you and me are you are asking questions, I'm answering. It should not be one-on-one. You can ask plenty of questions, no issues. It should be aligned accordingly. If you have just naturally like others, if you are getting one or two questions, you can stop me anytime. I don't have issue. If you are like unique in terms of asking the questions, many questions, still we should accept it, but that we will move to end of the session for others' convenience. That's it. Yeah, you can ask me. You can. I'm not saying don't ask. Oh, no, everybody has privilege. That is the purpose we are running these sessions. So I'm not asking, requesting not to ask the questions. You can ask, but if you have many, better you can make a plan to ask in the end of the session so that it would be very smooth. Yeah.
So for example, you mentioned retained earnings, right? And
Yeah.
you in the Excel, you put the formula expense revenue minus expense.
Correct.
Here, but here are we going to put the formula in the
No, it happens automatically. End of the year, when we are moving to the next year, automatically system will recognize all our revenues, it will recognize all our expense, and it will move the variance into retained earnings account automatically. For our
So based
understanding,
on
I mentioned the formula.
So based on means the tool how it works, but that is the question. That's why I'm asking.
Tool how it works
So
means it will look at all
no. I let me put the question, because you created expense accounts, you created revenue accounts, and based on the nature of accounts, will it automatically process the system
Yes.
for retained earnings and
Correct.
get the
No, correct answer. That is the answer.
yeah, that is
Okay.
what I wanted to know. That's why.
It will look at account type.
Yeah.
Okay. It will look at all the account types. Okay, all expense accounts, all revenue accounts. It will take the variance. The variance it will move into this retained earnings. In the
So
year
that
end.
okay.
Automatically
Yeah.
it happens. We no need to do any action.
Do we have multiple owners equity account? Only one account.
You can have a multiple also, but ideally the multiple you can use for grouping other aspects. Ideally one only. For other purpose, just you are reporting other aspects you can use. To work this logic, only one we use.
Okay.
Yeah, only one. Fine. So this is how you can maintain multiple accounts. Okay. For now, these few accounts are enough. Okay. Just we are trying to understand how to create the accounts. Later, we will see what are the accounts we use as a part of implementation. Okay. Just few accounts, enough. So make a note of all these points and say save and close. Done. And we have few more segments as per our chart of accounts, right? Intracompany, project, create few values for this remaining segment related value sets. So when you talk about intercompany, we have to use same values whatever we created in the company values. So ADP, intercompany, click on manage values, click on plus icon. So intercompany means internal transactions. Every transaction may not be internal, right? Most of the transactions you do with your suppliers and customers. So whenever the transaction is not related to intercompany, you have to use some dummy value that you can provide as a default. And create a few more values as it is how you have as per your company. 1000. So we used as a ADP software services. Okay, software services 2000 ADP software development. Third one is ADP consulting services. Same company code and same description we have to use how exactly we entered in the company, because company is only we are maintaining one more time within the intercompany value set to perform the transactions between the companies. So it should be replica of company. Along with that, you can maintain additional value called as default. That's all. ADP Consulting Services. Okay. Say save and close. And we have few more segments like project, future one, future two. Create few values. So project value set. Click on manage values. Click on plus icon. And when you say project, every transaction may not belongs to project. So if you are recording the transaction, if the transaction is not related to project, but still you have to fill some value. For that, we always maintain one dummy value or call as default value. If transaction is related to project, we select the project. If transactions are not related to project, we fill the segment with this default value. And you get complete information from the client. Accordingly, you can maintain all the details. Something like say Java project. The project number could be something. So AMC, annual
One
maintenance.
question, Lakshman Garu. You are
Yep.
creating one default project every time, no? In each line, in the before also you created.
Correct.
What is the requirement, sir? Default compulsory we have to create?
Or yes, when we are creating the transaction, in the transaction, we have to select values for all the segments. Okay.
Okay.
All the segments, but it is not, I don't have any relevant value for that. I'm spending some expense. The expense is not belongs to any project, but I have a project segment in my chart of accounts. What to do? I would say it is not applicable. That means default only, or else you can write as a not applicable. Anything is okay.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, that is the purpose. Yeah, you can say not applicable. Fine. So this is how you can list out projects, say save and close. And we have two more segments. Accordingly, you have to create the values in those value sets. So ADP future one, click on manage values, click on plus icon. First of all, it is not designated with some label. It is just for future purpose. So here always will maintain default one. So save and close. In future, whenever you convert this segment as any real segment, accordingly you can maintain the values. Till the time it will just remain as a future with a one default value that you can use in every transaction. So go to future two value set, add the value. So default. Save and close. Save and close. So we completed values creation within the value sets. Also, we set value attributes to segment values. Of course, system is defaulting, except account for all the segment related values. System is defaulting, allow budgeting, allow posting, summary. Only for account segment related value sets, additional value attribute system is defaulting, but one is mandatory which you have to set, that is account type. How system is getting those additional value attributes? Because we assigned natural account segment label to account segment. That's how it is getting those additional attributes. That is the purpose. We assign natural account segment label to account segment. So this is the story of chart of accounts. Okay, how to create the chart of accounts? First, we have to create the value sets, create structure, create segments, map your value sets and segment labels to respective segments, and create instance. The copy of chart of account structure we call as instance, and deploy accounting key flex field and create segment values. Okay, create segment values and set value attributes to segment values. Okay, set value attributes to segment values. So this is how we can create chart of accounts structure. Any questions from anyone, please?
We created company, right? When we are creating company, I am not sure mostly business people or professional, like a functional consultant talks about primary ledger, secondary ledger. I assume that ledger is the company. So how do we know which is the
company, not company. Okay.
Uh,
Ledger is not the company.
mhm.
Okay. One ledger can hold a number of companies.
Okay. So
It will
when
come to know that.
generally EPM people when asking, can you give me all? I don't want finance people say that I don't want data from secondary ledger. I want to get data only in the primary ledger. So
Correct,
then
correct.
we go and ask ERP people, give me only the primary ledgers. I don't want secondary ledger
Correct,
like that.
Yeah. We have primary ledger, we have secondary ledger, we have reporting ledger, we have consolidation ledger with the different purposes. So primary is the one where you record the transaction, remaining all just for reporting with various reasons. We'll come across all those. When you understand, you will be able to get answers to those questions. If any gap, we will discuss. Yeah. We will come across. Very soon you will come to know that we are going to create the same very soon. Yep.
And also not necessary that all companies be intercompanies, right?
See, there is no like kind of necessity. It is all about how they are operating. If
Yeah.
for their operations, all the companies are involving for this, yes, you can create. Or else you take example. So
Yeah.
you will have a use case. If any transaction takes place between, it happens always between
Yeah.
two only. In that case,
Yeah.
intra-company, you no need to create three, right?
Yeah.
Okay, it depends how they are doing the business. Accordingly, you have to create. It's not mandatory, but by default, we create. If required, they'll use. Otherwise, they'll eliminate. If they says no, we don't need three in the inter-company. Company one is not going to perform any transaction with the company three, and company two is not going to perform transaction with the three. In that case, this you can eliminate from the inter-company value set.
Okay.
Okay, but no harm. Just we create in future if they require, they'll use it. If they are not using, just it will be lying in that value set. That's all. Okay, in general,
Okay.
we'll create everything.
Okay.
That's all it is. Fine. So, any questions on this chart of accounts creation, please? Okay, great.
In intercompany, what happens out of three companies? Sometimes in one transaction, three companies will be involved. That time also it is useful to say.
Yeah, it will happen within the two steps. Okay. See, the company one may sell to company two may sell to company three. That will record as a two different levels of set of transaction. In one go, you cannot record it. Okay.
Understood. I thought receivables payables adjustment between the companies. For suppose second company is there,
Yeah.
second company receivables from the software
See-
services payable to the consulting service. So we have to do it in two steps.
Yes, two steps. Okay. When you say intercompany transaction, typically between two entities at a time, not multiple at a time.
Understood.
Yeah, that's how.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Fine. Now, so we are ready with our calendar, right? We discussed about calendar and we created calendar in the system. Also, we discussed about currency and we have seen in the system how the currency information is available. We discussed about chart of accounts and we have seen how to create the chart of accounts in the system. Now we are ready with our calendar. Okay, now we are ready with our calendar. We are ready with our currency. Of course, we didn't create our currency. Oracle is providing. We are ready with the currency. We are ready with chart of accounts. Okay, we are ready with chart of accounts. We are ready with the calendar, currency, and the chart of accounts. Okay, fine. So, calendar, currency, chart of accounts. If you look at these three components, okay, three components are required to record meaningful transactions in the system. Okay, so three are required to record the meaningful transaction. Calendar, currency, chart of accounts. These three are required to record the meaningful transactions. If you look at these three components, you can call these three as a components. if you look at these three components, the three components are starting with a letter called as C. Now, I can say one statement: by using calendar, currency, chart of accounts, we can record meaningful transactions within the system. When you say meaningful, it talks about when it happened, means date, in which currency it happened, and it belongs to which company, department, account. Rest of information also would be available. That's how it will become meaningful. So I can say by using this calendar, currency, chart of accounts, we can record meaningful transaction in the system. That is one statement. I can make it very short statement saying that for this, these three are starting with the C's. I can say these three are three C's. Three C's. Now, instead of calling calendar, currency, chart of accounts, these three I can refer with the term called as three C's. When I say three C's, calendar, currency, chart of accounts. Now I can say we can record the transactions with the three C's in more meaningful way. Okay, more meaningful way. That's how we can deliver the statement. Fine. So with three C's, we can create the transaction. Okay, good. You have these three C's ready. So always we need three C's whenever you record the transaction. You have to record the transaction, the three C's always. Whenever you record the transactions, you need three C's. It would be a very good idea if you can set all these three C's. You can group these three C's, then all will be in one place. Whenever you are recording the transaction, quickly you can use these three C's. If you are not grouping these three C's, it would be as a separate components, and it may become challenge for us to always go and wisely choose the right calendar, currency, chart of accounts. For that reason, since these three are pretty much mandatory whenever you record the transaction, these three we can group by using the concept called as primary ledger. Okay, primary ledger. Say primary ledger. PL, short name. Okay. So primary ledger. By using the primary ledger, okay, by using the primary ledger, we can create three C's. Okay, we can create the three C's. Fine. So I want to record the transactions within the GL application. Yes, I can use the primary ledger. Within the primary ledger, I will have a calendar, currency, chart of accounts, and I can record the transaction. Cool. Within the GL, general ledger application, if I want to record the transaction, I need primary ledger. In primary ledger, I need these three C's. I'll be able to record the transactions. I want to record the transactions in other applications apart from GL. Say I want to record the transactions in AP. Hope you remember AP stands for accounts payables. And I want to record the transactions in AR, accounts receivables. I want to record the transactions in FA and other applications. You take example like PO, purchasing, OM, order management. These two are part of SCM, or inventory, etc., other applications. If I want to record the transactions in these applications, these three C's are not enough. Three C's are not enough. So by using the primary ledger, we are able to record the transaction GL with the help of these three C's. Three C's will be part of primary ledger, you can record. But if you want to record the transactions in other applications, along with these three C's, we need one more component. That means to record the transactions in other applications, we need primary ledger. Okay, we need primary ledger, but the primary ledger should consist of four C's. Primary ledger should consist of four C's. What is the fourth C and what is the purpose? Okay, we'll understand very high level. When we are dealing with that, yes, we'll focus on it. So the fourth C, Oracle says accounting method. Where is the C here? You can ignore first letter and you can count second one as a C. That's how these are four C's. That's what Oracle says as per their documentation. For the accounting method, there is another naming convention called as a conventions. Conventions or conversion or accounting convention. We have other name, but Oracle is not taking that convention as another C. This is how just we have to count. Okay, accounting method, from accounting method, this is a C. So 4 C's. If you create primer ledger with the 4 C's, that primer ledger you can use in these all applications. Same primer ledger you can use in GL also. In fact, in GL we need 3 only. We have one extra also. Yeah. If you create the primer ledger with the 4 C's, you can use that primer ledger in all the applications, any application. If you create the primer ledger with the 3 C's, that you can use only in the GL. So what is the use of accounting method? Say for example, you take a AP. In AP we create invoice. When you create invoice in AP, accounting entry need to be created. If somebody is not aware of what does it mean by accounting entry, no worries. When we are dealing with AP, when you create invoice, we will come across. Okay. You no need to create accounting entry. System will create. Everything is automated. How it is creating, from where it is taking, what exactly it is creating, we have to understand, which is pretty much simple process. Okay. So when you create invoice in AP, system will create accounting entry. When you create payment in payables, for payment also system will create accounting entry. These accounting entries can be used for reporting purpose to generate produce the reports, your financial reports. You can use these accounting entries. Are we going to create accounting entries? No, system is going to create. Okay. If you have to create, you should have a finance background, but system has a finance background, it can create. Even we don't have finance background, by seeing what system is doing, we can understand. So in AP, when you create invoice and payment, system is going to create accounting entries. In the same way, AR, when you create the sales invoice and receipt, system will create accounting entries. For every transaction you record in these applications, system will create accounting entries. How system is creating accounting entries? Because there are some rules as a part of this accounting method. Within the accounting method, we have accounting rules. Within the calendar, what we have, we know. We created calendar. Within the calendar, we have a periods and date ranges. Within the currency codes. Within the chart of account, segment and segment values. Within the accounting method, what we have? Accounting rules we have. The rules would be like that. If invoice is created in AP, this is how system has to create accounting entry. This account it should take as a debit. This account it should take as a credit. This debit account it has to take from where, credit account from where it has to derive. And if payment is created in the payables, for that so and so accounting entry need to be created. Which account it has to use, from where it has to take. Everything is automated. We will understand. It's pretty easy. We'll see and we'll understand. You don't need to do anything. So those all accounting rules are available within this accounting method. Who written all the rules? Oracle written. We don't need to write any rules. Okay, Oracle written all the rules. Okay, Oracle written all the rules. Whenever you create the transaction AP or FA, automatically system will create accounting entries with the help of accounting method. Within the accounting method, we have set of accounting rules. Okay, now don't get into this. This is not the right time. Once we start creating accounting entries, we'll focus more on this, and I'll take separate session on accounting method. We'll have one session. However, we had a sessions on chart of accounts, calendar, etc. In the same way, we'll have a separate session. Since we are going to create the primer ledger, we have to select accounting method, which we are going to use in these applications. For that reason, what is there inside, what is the purpose, we are trying to understand very high level, not detail level. Detail level will have a kind of deep dive when we are dealing with these applications. I'll take separate session. Now just make a note. Accounting method consists of accounting rules, which talks about how the accounting entries need to be created for these applications whenever you create the transactions. Okay, accounting method consists of accounting rule. The accounting rule only will decide what is accounting entry need to be created for AP invoice or AP payment or AR transaction or AR receipt or fixed assets or any other application. Just that's all. These 2-3 points. Accounting method is one of the component in the primary ledger. What it consists, accounting rules. What is the use of accounting rules? Accounting rules will help us to create the accounting entries. Okay, accounting rules will help us to create accounting entries. If you are not aware of what is accounting entry and all, no worries, we'll see that. Okay, in upcoming classes, we'll see when we are dealing with accounts payables, we'll get introduced to accounting entries, we'll get introduced to accounting method concept. So this is the point we have to understand as a primary ledger. Primary ledger is the one which we use to record the transactions across all the applications. And all the any application you are performing any business activity, you create primary ledger. Finally, all the data we pull into primary ledger. Here only we prepare the reports. For primarily, we create all the transaction related data we pull into primary ledger. We use the primary ledger to create the reports also. So this is the point we have to understand how to create transaction, how to pull the data, how to generate reports. These all are the future sessions. Now, just to understand about primary ledger, any questions here, please?
Can we say convention method instead of accounting method? Because
yeah, you can call convention method is a pure technical term. Okay, the standard term within the application also you see as accounting method only. The label what Oracle write is accounting method only. Convention method is technical term for accounting method. When we are dealing with application, within the application, you see calendar, currency, chart of account, and accounting method. Oracle is not writing anywhere as a convention method.
Okay.
We are going with the same name. So you can make a note. Yes, this can be called as a convention method. Yeah. Any other questions, please?
Yes, sir. I have a question.
Yeah.
Here in the primary ledger, we are saying that calendar, currency, and chart of accounts that needs to be there. But in the GL,
accounting method also. Accounting
Okay.
method also should be there. If you are going to use that primary ledger in these applications, if you are not going to use, not. Yeah, I got your question. The reason why we don't need in the GL is GL we don't record the transactions. Transactions will record in these applications. Then all the data will get into GL to prepare the reports. Okay, we don't record the transaction in the GL. That is the reason you don't need any rules within the GL to create the transactions. Okay, but still there is an option to create, but we will enter everything through manual process. In the real world, there is no need of creating accounting entries, okay, a transaction within the GL apart from some adjustment entries.
Exactly, sir. Yeah, that's what my question is. Adjustment entries,
Correct. Only we pass. That is not related to your buying and selling and paying and receiving, right?
Okay.
Adjustment. So since adjustment, how you want to adjust, you have to take decision. There is no rule is applicable over there. Fine. Yeah. Any other questions, please?
If we are not implementing sublets like APR, FA, and so on, we don't need accounting method, right?
Correct. You are right.
Rule.
You are right.
Yeah.
But generally, more than 99.999%, every client will go with the other applications also along with the GL. Okay. So because GL, it will become a pool to collect the data and to produce the reports, but where they record the real business transactions. Of course, they may use some third-party applications, but typically you see in the implementations, if any client is going with Oracle Cloud implementation, definitely they'll use other applications along with the GL. Yeah, to understand the point, yes, that's how it works. If they are not going to use AP or FA applications, when you create the primary ledger, accounting method is not required. And another point is accounting method, any point of time you can select. Say you created primary ledger, you selected only these 3 components and you created. Later, any point of time you can use select accounting method, or any point of time you can change the accounting method. But once you create the primary ledger, these 3 C's you cannot modify in between. It's a one time. But accounting method flexible. Anytime you can change or anytime you can choose. If you don't choose at the time of primary ledger creation, but the moment you create the primary ledger, these 3 C's will be freezed. You cannot do any changes. It's a one-time decision. If you want to change your calendar, if you want to change your chart of accounts, if you want to change your currency, not at all possible. If you want to change your accounting method, yes, pretty much possible at any point of time. This is another point. Anyway, we'll see in the system also. Yep. Fine. Any
Yeah,
other
so if 3Cs we want to change, then we need to redesign the ERP application. That's
Correct,
what you mean?
correct. Yes. You have to redesign the entire kind of system. You have to create another primary ledger, it means. And you have to move the entire data from this old primary ledger to new primary ledger, and you have to stop using the old primary ledger. It's a big game. It will become another implementation.
Correct.
Fine.
So if, for example, AP are not like primary ledger kind of things, you mentioned that accounting rules are coming from AP or AR and so on, because they are creating
One second. Accounting rules are not coming from AP and AR. Accounting rules would be part of primary ledger. Okay, with the help of this accounting method. Accounting rules are part of accounting method, which can be used across all these applications.
So those rules can be updated anytime, so if we update a rule
Yes,
in
you're right.
accounting method rule, then subledgers also get impacted, right?
Yes.
Or not?
Yes. Anytime.
We can modify subledgers also if you are modifying the accounting method.
Yeah. See, in the accounting method, you will have a set of rules for AP. You can go through the changes for AP. Then for AP, it will reflect.
Okay.
For AR, you will have a rules within this accounting method. You go and do some changes to AR rules that will reflect in AR transactions. Yep.
Okay.
For every application, we'll have a separate rules. Yeah. We will work on it. I'll take you through how it is structured, what are the components we have. If at all you want to modify the rules, how to modify, we will walk through. Yep. We'll have a hands-on on that.
Got it.
Yeah. Any other questions here, please? Any other questions? Right. No questions. Right. So this is what we have to understand. Okay. By just grouping these 4 components, 4 C's, we can create the primary ledger. That primary ledger you can use in any application. We are very clear about these 3 components. The 4th component, we know very high level what is the purpose, but we have to have a deep dive. When we are working on the relevant activities, yes, we will see that. Okay. So I think we reached our scheduled time. So
one last question is secondary ledger and subledger same or different?
Those are different purpose. See, you are recording the transactions in this primary ledger. Okay.
Okay.
You created 10 transactions in USD. Now the same
Okay.
data you want to report in INR, you use the reporting ledger.
Okay.
Just to report other version of data, the same as it is, but other you will be, see, in primary ledger, you are using the currency called as USD. Okay. And you are creating the transactions. Okay. You created n number of transactions, AP transaction, AR transaction, FA, many transactions you created. Now all the transactions in your primary ledger will have in which currency? USD.
USD.
You have your headquarters in India, HQ, in India. From headquarters, they are asking, hey, just whatever the transactions you are doing in US, please report us. They are asking. Then what we'll do is, we'll create INR reporting ledger. Okay. You connect, this is a like separate concept. Will be working since you have a question multiple times. You repeated these terms. I'm just trying to answer. Anyway, we completed session.
Yeah, I am confused. Primary ledger,
now
secondary
this
ledger,
primary ledger, you will create based on your the reporting ledger. Always you create based on the primary ledger. Anyway, that when we deal, we will see. Now for your better understanding, I'll say we'll create INR reporting ledger that we connect to our primary ledger. Okay. If I create one transaction here in USD, this will go to a reporting ledger as it is in INR. That's it. You never record the transactions in reporting ledger.
Correct.
Your primary ledger will report the same transactions in different currency. That's it. We use only primary ledger to record the transaction. Remaining all the ledgers, any ledger you use, data will go from primary to those ledgers for different purposes. We will be working on all these topics. Yep.
So reporting ledger is secondary ledger.
Sorry?
Reporting ledger is secondary ledger. Am
No,
I
no,
right?
no. See.
No, that is also correct.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
okay,
Let
got
me
it.
clarify that also. Otherwise, it will be burning for you, right? So,
Yeah.
right. I know you are carrying these terms for quite a long period, it seems to, right? So, fine. So, primary ledger is the one where you record the real transactions. Now, your requirement is your HQ, headquarters, is asking to report each and every your business transactions in INR. For that, what we'll do? For India, we create INR reporting ledger, we'll send the data. We don't record any transactions in INR reporting
Correct.
ledger. Now, what India people are asking is, hey, like in US, you have Jan to December calendar, but you report to us April to
March.
March.
Okay.
Then you create secondary ledger.
Oh.
Secondary ledger. Then whatever
okay.
transactions you create, you will be reporting to secondary ledger. It may be in the USD currency only, or else it could be INR. Here we are not talking about currency. Currency is not the part. If you have your primary ledger and you are recording the transactions, when you are recording the transactions, you want to report to headquarters. If only currency is different in terms of reporting requirements, you use INR. You want to report calendar is different, or chart of account is different, or accounting method is different, you go with the secondary ledger.
Okay.
When, see, two for the purpose of reporting only. Reporting ledger, secondary ledger for the purpose of reporting. Your primary ledger data you want to report. Yes, okay. You want to report. How you want to report? You have to report in different currency. Then what you have to choose? Secondary ledger or primary ledger, reporting ledger.
Reporting ledger.
Why?
Because different currency.
Only different currency. Now requirement is, in your primary ledger you have 7 segments. Your HQ is asking to report only 2 segments data.
Oh, okay.
Then what is the ledger you will use for reporting?
Secondary ledger.
That's it. Or else,
Yeah.
your US primary ledger is Jan to December. The India team is asking to report as per India calendar. Which ledger you have to use?
Secondary ledger.
That's it. Okay.
Yeah.
Or else
Clarify.
in India, you are using in your primary ledger one accounting method. As per India, you have to report in the different accounting method. Which ledger you will use?
What is that? Different accounting method?
Different
Secondary
accounting
ledger.
method.
Secondary
HQ is
ledger.
asking to report in the different accounting method, different accounting convention.
Yeah, secondary ledger.
Yes. See, ultimate point is reporting. You always record the transactions only in the primary ledger. Remember, no other ledger,
Okay.
only in primary. When you record, when you are reporting, how you are reporting, accordingly you can choose whether you have to report to reporting ledger or you have to report by using secondary ledger. Yeah. This is just for your information. Don't take as a concept. As a concept, we'll discuss very detailed level. We'll create the reporting ledger, secondary ledger, consolidation ledger, and we'll test, we'll produce the results. Yeah. Fine. Any questions from anyone, please? Any questions from anyone? Okay, no questions. Great. So that's all for today. So today is Friday, right? We'll connect on Monday. Please make sure you are going to complete the pending task from your end. Okay, whatever we completed so far. Okay, we created up to chart of accounts. Please make sure from your side also you completed chart of accounts so that your understanding would be far better from the next session. If you are understanding by attending these classes, not great. You have to practice.
Yes.
At least one round of practice is required. Please focus on that. I'll make sure even it's a weekend, the instance will up and running. I'll try to add few more instances. If one is going to down, at least you'll be able to use other. So if you are not practicing, even if you do this course, no use. When you attend, you understand. When you sit alone, you will lost. Practice is mandatory. If you have a good amount of time, practice multiple times. Worst case, one time practice is very, very mandatory. Yeah. Please plan accordingly. Otherwise, you will listen and you will leave it later. After 1 month, if you sit for practice, nothing you can correct. Okay.
Is any instance working right now?
Yes. The 7 is working. Same I am using for class also. You can try. I'll be adding few other instances also. Yeah.
This is the fresh instance right now?
Sorry.
Is this the fresh instance?
No, I added yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah, same one.